Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. This show is presented by United in Peace, Inc. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. The issue that I got today, we talking about justice. How do an individual that fights for a wrongfully convicted individual that was doing life and he was a defendant, and then I become the defendant because I helped him to get freedom, redemption, and compensation. I know you're saying, Gator, what are you talking about, Gator? How do you mean you're a defendant? The lawyer that I brought to help him made me and him as being Mark Maxson. The lawyers as being Elliot Zinger and Larry Dreyfus. And they sued to get the money from the city and to hold my money up. They made the both of us defendants. Wow. But it get wilder because there's a solution, and to God be the glory. That's a Gator story. Got no worry about that. I'm going to show it so you can see it for yourself. There's a lot of issues that's happening around the world, especially with Trump, and we're seeing where the Department of Justice is like Trump's personal lawyer. But that's there. That's going to work itself out. The issues that I'm bringing before you was with the help of none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. And that's my wife, Dr. Terry Marsh Bradley. So I want to say, without further ado, Amani, let's go to work.
Convicted of murder, walking out of prison today.
New evidence has cleared Mark Maxson of a murder that occurred more than 20 years ago. He was serving a life sentence at Stateville Prison near Joliet. Eyewitness News reporter Evelyn Holmes was there when Maxson walked out. Evelyn?
Well, Mark Maxson has been free for just about over an hour now. After years of professing his innocence, it is new DNA evidence that finally freed him. After spending nearly half of his life in prison for a crime he says he didn't commit, Mark Maxson is finally a free man.
That's the best feeling that I could have, because my mother was there, the only, my mother's my stability.
The elated 55-year-old smiled as he walked out of the Stateville Correctional Center near Joliet this afternoon, only hours after a Cook County judge threw out his conviction for the murder of a 6-year-old boy on Chicago's South Side.
I wasn't going to give up on him.
No.
And I did what I could.
Maxson was sentenced to life in prison for the 1992 slaying of first grader Lindsay Murdoch. Investigators focused in on Maxson after he told a TV reporter that he'd bought chips for the child and told him to go home. The boy was found dead the next day in an abandoned garage near 107th and State. In a statement, a spokesperson for the Cook County State's Attorney, Anita Alvarez, writes that after an exhaustive reinvestigation, the conviction of Mr. Maxson could not stand. A criminal investigation into the 1992 murder of 6-year-old Lindsay Murdoch remains ongoing.
This case stunk right from the get-go. The judge said the same thing.
No physical evidence ever linked Maxson to the crime. Maxson has always maintained his innocence despite his confession, which attorneys say was coerced by detectives working for the infamous Chicago Police Commander John Burge.
He succumbed to the psychological torture.
Mark Maxson is the 15th person to have his conviction vacated since State's Attorney's Conviction Integrity Unit was formed in 2012.
I tell brothers to stay focused on, stay strong, foundate yourself on the facts of your case.
Now, Mark Maxson went to a steak dinner with his mother. He says then he'll go home and take a little time to figure out what he's going to do with his new future. Reporting live from Stateville Correctional Center here near Joliet, Evelyn Holmes, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Our next speaker is Dr. Wallace Bradley.
Yes, good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
You know, since 2016, I've been speaking about the wrongful conviction of Mark Maxson. But I've been fighting for him to be free since 2013. And I'm speaking as an ex-felon that received a pardon, that did my bit in Stateville, and by God's mercy and grace, I was allowed to go back behind the wall of Stateville to help bring this man out. I'm glad to see that it's on the finance agenda, that he's gonna receive a settlement for $8,750,000. But I'm gonna share this with you. Because I fight him, and I do it all the time. And the one thing about it is freedom from being wrongfully convicted for a case outweigh the value of the settlement. You know what I'm talking about. You've been locked up 23 hours, 23 days, 23 years. His freedom. Sometimes an individual got to accept the blessing that God gave him when he gave him 2 blessings. Had I been locked up and had I been freed, I would have been happy to have a SSI check. But because October 22nd, this body or the corporate council made a decision to stop paying them private attorneys. From 2016, they have paid them private attorneys $2,700,000 for a case they knew that they couldn't win. Just one case and a bunch of them coming. I just want to say, I hope this body agreed to this settlement. There's all the settlements that's on here. But I want to thank you, if you do, for Mark Maxson, because I realize that the struggles that God had gave me to fight ain't been in vain, because this ain't the first one that I brought to get this done. So I'll just say thank you. I hope y'all agree with this to be brought before the full council, and stop paying them lawyers that cannot win a case because of torture and wrongful conviction. Again, thank you.
Mark Maxson versus John Duffy et al. The Department of Law recommends settling this reverse conviction lawsuit for $8.75 million. Plaintiff Mark Maxson was convicted in 1994 of sexual assault and murder. His conviction was vacated in 2016 after DNA testing conducted on a sample from the victim's clothes revealed that that sample did not match Maxson, and when compared to law enforcement database, it was discovered that DNA matched another man named Osborne Wade, who had been previously convicted of another murder. Following his conviction being vacated, Maxson was awarded a certificate of innocence. He brought this suit against former detectives John Duffy, Angelo Pesavento, and William Marley, alleging that they coerced Maxson's confession, fabricated evidence, withheld exculpatory evidence, and maliciously prosecuted him. In addition, Maxson brings a Monell claim against the city, which is stayed while the other claims proceed. At this point in the litigation, discovery has ended, and the next stage would be summary judgment if the settlement is not approved by this body. The underlying crime here is a horrific murder and a sexual assault of a 6-year-old named Lindsay Murdoch. Lindsay went missing on the evening of August 29, 1992. His body was found covered in debris in an abandoned garage at 10730 South State Street. Media covered the incident, and Maxson, who lived in the neighborhood, was interviewed by reporters on television. Maxson told reporters that he had been with the young boy the night that the boy disappeared. Officers saw the interview, and Maxson was the last person known to have interacted with Lindsay. Detectives also discovered Maxson had been previously convicted of raping a woman in 1981. The officers reached out to Maxson, who agreed to come in for questioning. Maxson initially stated that he ran into Lindsay, who was alone on the street, at around 10:30 p.m., and he bought Lindsay chips at a liquor store and told Lindsay to go home. Then they parted ways. Maxson remained at the station overnight until he was taken for a polygraph. He claims that he was detained against his will. The officers contend that he remained voluntarily. The officers told Maxson that his polygraph indicated deception. Maxson was then re-interviewed and taken for blood samples. He remained at the station again overnight. The next day, he was again interviewed by detectives who reported that Maxson admitted then that he had bought crack before he ran into Lindsay. He said that he went to smoke crack in the abandoned garage and Lindsay followed. Maxson then stated that he sexually assaulted the boy and choked him, then hid the body in the corner of the garage. Maxson repeated his confession to the assistant state's attorneys and gave a court-reported statement. Maxson, however, refused to sign the statement. At that time, blood and hairs were recovered, but none of it matched Maxson. No DNA testing was conducted because this was 1992. Maxson was tried and convicted by a jury in March 1994. He was spared the death penalty and sentenced to life without parole. Years later, Maxson petitioned for DNA testing, which was granted in 2016. As I stated, that testing revealed that the DNA did not match Maxson and that the DNA matched Osborne Wade. Maxson was released after the testing revealed that and charges dismissed. Wade was prosecuted and he pled guilty in 2021, but only to the charge of attempted murder. Maxson claims that his conviction was based solely on his confession, which was physically and psychologically coerced from him after he was unlawfully detained for 60 hours. He claims that the polygraph results were false and that the officers rushed to judgment in this high-profile crime. Maxson was in prison for a total of 24 years, and he will likely ask a jury for at least $48 million at trial. That does not include possible plaintiff's attorney's fees that the city must pay if Maxson wins, which will likely be around $2 to $3 million. The parties participated in a settlement conference and were able to reach an agreement for $8.75 million pending this body's approval. For all these reasons, the Department of Law recommends this settlement as fiscally prudent.
Thank you very much, Ms. Felker. Alderman Mitz.
A child, what was the age?
6 years old.
6 years old. And where were the child location? What was the location?
The body was found at 10073 South State Street at an abandoned garage.
And this was at 10 at night, 10 p.m.?
So he went missing on the evening of August 29th, 1992. Maxson ran into the boy at 10:30 p.m.
And there was a history of sexual assault from Maxson previous?
Maxson had been convicted of rape in 1981.
And he was, what was with that case? What was he dismissed? Was the case dismissed and he was out?
The 1981 case?
Yes.
No, he
Was on
remains
probation?
convicted of that. To be clear, he's not in prison, but his conviction stands.
Okay.
Anything else, Alderman Mitz?
I'm just mind-boggled. What was that parents, relative, family members? I just want to know, 6 years old, 10 o'clock at night.
All right,
That's all.
got you.
Thank you.
Alderman
Thank you.
Spizzato?
Madam Chair, thank you, Jessica. Question about Osborne Wade. So he's serving life in prison now? Because did we pursue any charges against him, or is he like 20 years, or what's the deal with him?
He's been convicted. He pled guilty. I don't know his full sentence. He pled guilty to attempted murder.
But he is in prison. So then my question would be, one, why wouldn't we make sure he never gets out of prison by prosecuting him for that? And two, was Maxson and Wade, were they buddies or anything like that? Is there any association between those two?
So Mr. Wade is in prison. He was convicted of this as an attempted murder. So he's been pursued as charges as soon as they discovered the DNA. As far as whether we have established a relationship between Maxson and Wade, other than being from the same area, no.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Felker, the DNA, the autopsy, did it reveal sexual assault on the young child? And if so, was the DNA testing done from the sexual assault?
Without getting into too many of the gory details, there was evidence of sexual assault. No semen was recovered. So there was no DNA testing to do.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion to recommend approval of item number 5E? So moved by Alderman Mitz, recommending do pass. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the do pass recommendation will report it out at the next city council meeting.
You know, you heard me say that I've been working this case under contract, known as an urban translator agreement. The lawyers had their contract with Mark as representing him as their lawyer. My profession is when the individual reached to me to aid and assist them as an urban translator is to deal with the media, with the community, with the public officials, the elected people. My contract was for me to get paid $75 an hour. I signed it on my birthday in 2013 while he was behind the wall in the Stateville Penitentiary in the visiting room while I was there visiting another client of mine. That happens to be my friend too, that was wrongfully convicted, by the name of Gerald Reed. Mark Maxson heard through the penitentiary the work that Gator's doing. Gerald Reed, Gator's guy, get up with Gerald, they called him Elijah. He called Gator, give your case to Gator, to him, so he can get it to Gator and Gator can read it. I knew he had a past case as a rapist in the 80s. But reading his case, I knew that he was wrongfully convicted in '92 for the abuse and the murder of that young 6-year-old child. So he needed the help from my team that I put together. Me handling the court of public opinion, the lawyer handling the court of law. We came together for the betterment of our client. The lawyer was Elliot Zinker, a friend of mine that I've been knowing for 30 years. So, the other lawyer is named Larry Dreyfus. He come on later on. Now, you saw the work that I do. I was the one that drove down to Stateville Penitentiary to pick him up, to bring him down the little slope so he can be with his mother. We go and eat. We're part of a team. Everything is hunky-dory. We get out, I think, the 27th, maybe the 28th of September. 2016. Rode from the county jail to Joliet Penitentiary to pick him up. Still, we're doing the work. He get a certificate of innocence in October. When he get the certificate of innocence, then the state has to give him $220,000 because it's on a scale. If you was wrongfully convicted and you get a certificate of innocence, they pay you by how many times you was locked up, how long you was locked up. Now the lawyers, by law, they could only get 20% of that because there's no work to be done. But I had to show the lawyers how to go through to get what they have to. Well, Mark, because the reason that me, the urban translator, is so powerful and key, and that was a position that God gave me. That's how I'm feeling about it. Because I helped another individual by the name of Aaron Patterson. Aaron Patterson jumped on both his lawyers in the courtroom. The judge say, Aaron Patterson, you got to get your lawyer in 24 hours. I'm in there supporting Aaron Patterson because he was wrongfully convicted to the point that he was on death row and the governor gave him a pardon and put him on the street. So the judge called me to the bench. And she said, Gator, well, what's your real name? I tell her my name, Wallace Bradley. She said, you got 24 hours to go get this man a lawyer. I asked one thing, and to this day, it took me a while to figure out why I asked, and I just let it be known that that's how God touched us. Sometimes we don't know how we get through certain things. I asked this one question. Your Honor, we're in a federal court. Could you make that a court order? And when she made it a court order for me to help Aaron to get a lawyer, to convince him that this is the only system, I did it, I got him a lawyer. But it shot me in the system. Now, as if Aaron was Hispanic and I could speak Espanol, I was his translator. So the lawyer convinced the judge put the city lawyers out the courtroom, put everybody else out the courtroom, went about in the courtroom but me, Aaron, this lawyer, and the marshals, and the judge. So she asked the question. Aaron, was Mr. Bradley able to convince you that you got to hire this attorney in order for you to get what you're looking for in this court system, on the system we got in America? He said, yes, Your Honor. She called the city's lawyers back in. She told them, the lawyer got up and he spoke, and he explained to the city's lawyers, so it's on record, Gator was a peace enforcer for the gangster disciples. Aaron Patterson was a leader for the Blackstone Rangers. Gator, ex-felon, they got a pardon. Aaron, an ex-felon, they got a pardon. Gator ran for political office. Aaron ran for political office. They come from an urban culture. So now you heard he had explained that I was able to translate to Aaron. In our culture, that simple, player, there's no other court for you to get what you want is your money from being wrongfully convicted. Ain't no other court. You can't be beating up your lawyers if you're trying to get your money. Okay, get it. Okay, man, I got you. So the city lawyers came and say, so now you telling us that they got a culture, urban culture, and now Mr. Bradley is like an urban translator. I guess that's what I am then. Bam. And it pays me. Back to the matter at hand. I put the team together to help this man. And you saw what we just went through. Okay? He get the money. When it came time for me to get my money, which they owed me $312,000, I got to go to court. I went to court on April the 4th. And the lawyers and him try to say I didn't do nothing. I ain't did nothing for us. I said, I'll go to court again tomorrow. But I want you to see this. Amani, show that next piece. Man, and you know I got a show called The Bradley Report.
Yes, yes.
I want to first of all thank you for the executive thing that you put down. Yes. This is one of the young brothers, Mark Maxson. There was a bird torture victim that I was talking about when I went to the budget hearing for the law department.
Yes.
And your new chairman of the finance committee, she knows about him. She has everything. The wonderful thing about this, he's the only one that got a certificate of innocence where the individual was caught. And he's now doing 50 years. So within your power of transparency, if you can ask, the law department just to look into it to help stop the waste of taxpayers' money, where those lawyers, in this case, the lawyers supposed to be representing the city.
Right.
They got $4 million for a case that they know they can't win. You want to say something to the mayor, man?
Yes. My thing is, I came for it, and I was helpful. I was in my community. I was a worker. I'm a worker now. I'm a caregiver. I've been home 8 years. The city has never apologized to me. The city has never literally said, I've seen 3 mayors. You're the 3rd mayor. And I'm not saying you owe me that apology.
Carried out, by John Burge. Justice in this situation. There's still a lot of work to be done. So Mr. Bradley knows me, and fully aware of how this city has treated our people over the course of decades. And one of the areas in which we have to fix and get right is real accountability with law enforcement and making sure that we are moving towards what I've already established, right? This commitment around restoration and reparation. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. That's what Gator do. And the end results, where he getting the money, and when they try to say I wasn't getting it. Let me read this for you for a while here. This one of the emails that I got when I sent a FOIA to the law department, because I wanted the email conversation that they was having as they was trying to make a plan to get around me getting my money, and the city told them, we can't give y'all the check because we got to make sure that Gator gets his part, because you got to take care of your lien. So they had a lien. After, let's tell Elliot Zinker, the lawyer, and the other lawyers. After reading over the email that I received from Attorney Elliot Zinker that was sent to me Monday, February 3rd, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Subject, stakeholder suit, notice of filing. That's what he filed against me and Mark Maxson. 3 things that caught my attention. 1, the fact that my friend didn't include the letters he and Attorney Larry Dreyfus wrote to Miles Lupin, who I helped Mark to get a loan from. Larry wrote this letter March 12, 2017. My knowledge of Mark Maxson, Wallace Bradley's agreement, where he states the contract calls for Mr. Bradley to provide public relations services for a substantial fee, payable after Mr. Maxson succeeds in his civil rights action now pending in federal court. Attorney Elliot Zinger wrote his letter March the 14th, 2017, where he states, I am the attorney for Mark Maxson since November 15th, 2012. Wallace Gator Bradley entered into a written contract with Mr. Maxson on February 7, 2013, entitled Urban Translator Agreement. Under that agreement, Mr. Bradley was to provide services as media, community, and political liaison to assist Maxson in gaining his freedom, in parentheses, which we did. I am personally aware that Mr. Bradley has provided the above services in an excellent manner. Now they come down with the money. They're going to be a witness against them to make sure I get my money. What I'm saying is this. I thank God for using me as a vessel to help answer the prayer that Mark Maxson was given or was asking for. Please let me go, Father God, and I'll be straight. I'll never curse and never do that. I know I've been locked up, same prayer I gave. And I ain't been back to penitentiary, so I know prayer works. He get out from a life sentence. But he got to live up to his prayer. He got to live up to his obligations. I go back to court, I'm going to get my money. But it hurts me that I became a defendant for helping a guy that was a defendant, that was tortured, that had a life sentence, and I helped him get freed, I helped him get redeemed, and I helped him get compensated. But what they miss in the whole scenario, I deserve to get compensated too. So it's going to work itself out. But as far as my friend, Elliot Zinger, that I know for 30 years, I felt like Julius Caesar. When Julius Caesar's friend, Brutus, was his friend, and when all the assassins came around him, he turned to Brutus and he said, man, you too? And Brutus went to stab him in his back. I told Elliot Zinger, I'll forgive you, but I'll never trust you. And I told him this, I don't want to fight you, but know that I will. In righteousness, for righteous sake. And I say, vengeance belongs to God. He's the ultimate judge. Because when Mark Maxson made this move, he wasn't doing nothing against me. It was God that blessed him to get out. So you got the answer for that. I want to say, I'm still going to work to help the wrongfully convicted. Because God gave me that ministry. So I want to say, to God be the glory. That's Gator's story. I just wanted to let you know that Mark Maxson got approved on January 15th, 2025. That was Martin Luther King's birthday. For me, I'm starting to get justice in the court, which was April the 4th, 2025. April the 4th to us in our community and around the world was the day that Martin Luther King got murdered. And we memorializing the cause of that. So if they got the money on Martin Luther King's birthday, and we end up with a court date to get justice on the day that Martin Luther King was murdered, pay attention to times and seasons. I'm not talking about anything violent should happen to that man. I am not talking about that. I'm just talking about justice. So to God be the glory. That's Gator's story.